Welcome everybody on this webinar today. My name again, I repeat myself just in case that we have other colleagues that has just joined now. My name is Alcheta Lascu. I work for the regional hub in Terdezom here based in Budapest. I work as a child protection and safeguarding advisor. For today, we'll be speaking about child participation and as well child advisory boards as part of collective participation. Within this webinar, it is organized within the framework of Journeys project, which is a project that is funded by the European Commission, the Justice Program, and it is focused specifically on safe and informed journeys through Barnahus. The project, it is led by Save the Children Sweden, while there are as well other partners such as Terdezom, Tuzla, and Linköping University in Sweden. We would like to invite you first to attend a poll that my colleague Heidi will be launching it now. Heidi? So for this poll, you will invite you to respond. You have 3 questions, and we will continue with the content of the webinar. Till we see that we have people that are still joining, but we'll be really happy to see where are you from. So if you can just here now in the chat input where are you from, hello, where are you from, and as you can see we have 2 features at the end of your screen. The first one, it is the chat option where you can introduce yourself and the country where are you from, and as well ask for any kind of technical questions that you might have when it comes to the specific technical elements of the webinar. My colleagues will be answering to you. On your left, you have a feature that is question and answers, where we'll invite you to provide your questions there for the panelists and speakers for today, and we'll have a scheduled time at the end of the webinar in which we'll be receiving your questions. I see that everybody has started to already input. I can see some from Hungary, from London, from Ireland. Welcome, everybody. And it is really an honor for us to have you all here today. As probably you are already familiar with webinars, this webinar, it will be recorded. It is an you will be providing as well your consent for the recording of the webinar, and as well an available link to the recording. It will be provided by the colleagues in case that you would like to rewatch the recording afterwards. So I will start now to share the screen, and you can see as well here. So you can see that today, as I introduced, we'll be speaking about children collective participation and child advisory boards toolbox in the context of Barnahus. Already done the introduction and housekeeping, and I see that we have 25 people now that they have inputted from where they are from and greeted us. The second item, it is really an interesting experience for me myself personally, but as well for you. I hope so that we'll have one child advisory that will be speaking from Romania. Actually, it is Sofia. Sofia will be sharing her experience as a child advisor from Romania. She is originally from Ukraine, and she has been moving to Romania, and she'll be speaking with me and with you about this experience. The second item, it will be to present the methodological toolbox on child and youth advisory boards in the context of Barnahus. Afterwards, as another speaker, important as well, we really wanted to give space to the professionals who are engaged within the Barnahus settings, and we'll have Heseva Seriani from the one-stop centers, the Barnahus in Albania that she'll be sharing her views and experiences and challenges as well when it comes to collective participation within the One Stop Center. After, we'll have a Q&A session where you will be invited to input your questions in the feature on Q&A, and of course, afterwards, a feedback poll and a closure. So now I would like to invite the first speaker for today, and I'm deeply grateful for her that she accepted to join us today and share her experience. So Sophia, if you can turn on your camera and we'll start to discuss together.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Sofia. I'm 14 years old. I'm from Ukraine. Here I'm as a child advisor, as a part of Terra de Zom in Bucharest, in Romania. And I would like to speak more about children participation. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Sophia. You already introduced yourself and started to speak about your experience, but what will be interesting for us is to hear more of how you get it involved within this structure of child advisory boards. How was this experience for you, if you can share your journey?
So I came in CAP here in Terdezom in Bucharest on November 2023. And it was really good because I met here a lot of my friends, like people that we are now, soulmates and everything. So basically, here you can find a lot of communication. That's so important because some teenagers, as I heard, here they can't find friends, and that's so like a big social problem. So basically here I found communication. And also that was really good that we discussed about a lot of social problems like bullying and about confidence, how to you can adapt here in Romania because it's also so hard for foreign people for people from Ukraine as I am. So basically that's it. And yeah, that's what we were discussing about when I went to the COP. Yeah, that's it.
And so you mentioned that one of the things that you really liked was the fact that you have the opportunity to communicate and speak with other people.
Yeah.
What are some other activities that you have been really enjoying it and like that you liked most or enjoyed most that were really important for you and that you would like to share it, and why you have these preferences, if you can share this with us?
Yeah, here I'm leading speaking club. So basically that's one more thing that I'd like to share. Because on this speaking club, I help people to improve their speaking level of English. So basically I try to, more communicate with our people also from Ukraine, because I want to create like a really friendly, a really safe and space for them. I want them to feel free, and that's so important for me. So basically that's, I think, one more event, one more I don't know how to say, one more thing that I love to do here, like in Terre des Hommes. So it's CAP and this speaking club. That's what I enjoy here.
Great. So you liked really to be part and have been given this leadership role on this speaking club. And
Yeah.
would you recommend this role or to be as a child advisor to other peers that might be interested or that they don't know what to do on how their voice can be heard? So what would be some of your tips or recommendations for other peers?
So it depends, it depends on what teenagers or what people of my age like, because not all of them like such kind of topics to discuss about such kind of topics, and maybe someone doesn't feel comfortable to discuss about that. So of course, it's so important to make questionnaires and to ask children what they would like to discuss about and what topics they would like to have on
Mhm.
discussions. And I think that anyway, in my opinion, of course, that would be so great if we would work together, because I'm sure that if we're together, we can do more and make more progress, of course. So basically, we can improve the level of participants, and we can improve, like, we can make our children's voices be heard. Yeah, so that's so important, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think you said very well, better than what I can say. But what would be one? I'm curious to know what will be a message that you'll have for other adults, like professionals, that they are thinking to involve children or young people as advisors. What will be your recommendation? Why they should consider, because there might be some professionals or adults that they don't have opportunities or resources to involve children. What will be your advice for them? Why they should consider to work with child advisors and your peers?
Because I think that, children sometimes they can see things that adults don't, and of course their voices they matters, and for sure it's really important to create for them a safe space where they can feel free and comfortable with friendly atmosphere, and so I think that it's really important to create such kind maybe of events where um, children just can to communicate, to speak to each other, to share, to exchange their experiences, and it will be so good to create such kind of events. That's it.
Thank you. And what you think, what will be your the things that they should avoid? So adults that they are working or professionals who are working with children or young advisors, why they should avoid to not do? What will be your experience?
I think they don't have to push on like children, because then they feel uncomfortable and they don't want to go to such kind of events.
Mhm.
So it's really important not to do such kind of things, not to push, not to make children do something like that they don't want to. And
Mhm.
that's, I think, yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yes, exactly. I think this is really, I agree with you, is the most important to take into account. And as you very well said, the fact that sometimes if they don't want to do, not sometimes, but most of like all the times, the no is the response. If children and young people, they don't want to do an activity, this should be enough for adults to consider.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Sophia, for your genuine and very smart answers to the questions. You will be staying with us till the end of the webinar, and I thank you for that. So for the audience that we have, like the people that are listening to us, if you have any specific question for Sophia, please write it in the Q&A section, that the feature that you have it on your left, and I will be taking it on and ask to Sophia to answer afterwards when we'll have the Q&A session. Thank you, Sophia. And now we would like to move to the second item in the webinar today. And I would like to invite my colleague, Anastasia, to turn on her camera. And here she is. So Anastasia Doroshenko is our colleague from the regional hub of Terdesom, Hungary. She is a child participation, MHPSS, and child protection expert. She has been working in several contexts in humanitarian and development settings as well. And she's in the frame of the Journeys project. She's the author of the CAP Toolbox, a child advisory toolbox that will be, she will be introducing it to you now. And I give the floor to Anastasia. I will share in the meanwhile the screen so you can start.
Thank you very much, Alketa. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, and thank you everyone for joining our webinar. I'm really happy to take this opportunity and to present a methodological toolbox for establishing, for supporting and developing child advisory boards. So to begin with, why can this toolbox be of your support? So the development of Barnahus and the rights of children who are victims, who are witnesses of violence, including the rights to participation, is grounded in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. So children's rights to express their views freely on all the matters that affect them and to have those views given due weight is enshrined in the UNCRC Article 12. At the same time, for children's participation, for the process of children's participation to be meaningful, to be ethical, to be sustainable, they need to meet certain requirements. Such requirements were captured by the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child and its General Comment number 12. The comment states that participation needs to be transparent, it needs to be informative, voluntary, respectful, relevant, child-friendly, inclusive, supported by training, safe and sensitive to risk, and accountable. The right to participation, along with the child's rights to receive information, is also explicitly set out in Barnahus Quality Standard 1.2 that requires that children's rights to express their views and to receive information are respected and fulfilled. And this standard is one of the cross-cutting principles, and it applies across all the aspects of Barnahus model. Considering this central importance of children's participation, a mapping study was commissioned by the Promise Barnahus Network in 2021 to explore different ways of how children's participation is already embedded in Barnahus across European countries. And this study drew on the Landy model of child's participation and its 4 elements: the space, the voice, the audience, and the influence. And one of the findings of the study was that CAPS is already a widely used mechanism in Barnahus across different countries. The findings of the study also emphasized the value of this mechanism when co-designing and when improving Barnahus activities and its services. As such, there was a need to support the process of establishing, supporting, and developing child advisory boards with a concrete practical methodology. Please, let's move to the next slide. All right. And in response to this need to have a practical guidance for CAP facilitators, we contextualized this toolbox based on already existing methodologies and experiences from a range of contexts and a range of settings. We also consulted our partners within the Journeys project from Tuzla, Ireland, and Save the Children, Sweden, to learn about the rich experiences that they have when working with CAPs, and incorporated everything we learned within the toolbox. We really hope that this toolbox will eventually be perceived as an easy-to-read tool that offers facilitators a range of suggestions, a range of practical activities on how to safely, ethically, and meaningfully engage children in advisory roles and in decision-making processes around the project implementation. What's also important is that we hope that it will support facilitators in how to structure the meetings with the child advisors and how to populate them with the concrete activities that are safe and empowering for them. This consideration is particularly important when working with children who went through highly distressing events and oftentimes experienced feelings of powerlessness, helplessness, hopelessness, and disempowerment. Consequently, we want to ensure that their participation within child advisory boards is meaningful, it supports their sense of safety, sense of connectedness, and it's an empowering process and is not causing any harm to them. As it's shown on the slide, the toolbox is composed of 5 key parts. Firstly, we said we consider the journey of children's participation in its respective context. So in the case of the Journeys project, the context is Barnahus that supports children's victims and witnesses of crimes. The second part is where the journey actually starts. It includes information about eligibility criteria for CAB membership. For instance, both children with the Barnahus experiences and also children without such experiences are welcome to join. For instance, those might be children who are interested in the project activities, who are interested in the concept of Barnahus, in the concept of children's rights, and who are willing and motivated to contribute to the well-being of their peers. Moreover, in this part of the toolbox, we also included information about how CAB membership can be announced in such a way that it reaches as many children as possible from as many backgrounds as possible, including from the most vulnerable ones. To support this process, we annexed to the toolbox a call for membership and also a nomination form. In here, we also suggest the list of questions to guide friendly conversations with children who submitted their nomination forms. That's because we believe that such friendly conversations support building safe and trustful relationships between CAB facilitators and child advisors right from the beginning of their journey. Then we have all throughout the journey part, and here we explore some of the key safety considerations that need to be respected regardless of which stage of the journey children advisors are walking through. So as children have the rights to both participation and protection, this key consideration or key safety considerations are sort of a golden thread that runs throughout the process of working with the CAPs. As such, this part has a range of tips of how to support children physical safety, their emotional safety, and also their safety online in case CAB meetings take place through online modality. Here, attention is also given to capacity strengthening of CAP facilitators, and capacity strengthening is considered as an ongoing process, and we included signposting to different resources that can support this process. The walking the journey part is about which activities we can actually facilitate with child advisors when they come together. As suggested in the toolbox, we can accompany children when they are walking the Avenue 1 or Avenue 2 or both of them. We will elaborate in more detail what exactly it means as we proceed with the presentation. And finally, we included a range of tips of how to make children's participation more sustainable as they keep their journey on. We will also talk through some of such tips closer to the end of this presentation. Yeah, okay, then we can proceed to the next slide. All right. Now let's look at when can the toolbox be of your support. So we suggest that it can be of your support when we engage children either along the lines of Avenue 1 or Avenue 2 or both of them. So we walk the Avenue 1 when children advise, when they provide their feedback and suggestions to the project partners on a range of Barnahus tools and services. For instance, within the context of the Journeys project, children advise on the development of a mobile app, child log, and the role of child liaison. More broadly, this avenue also relates to consulting children on Barnahus governance and the services provided within Barnahus. We walk the Avenue 2 when we invite children to engage in a participatory action research to promote certain positive social changes. Within the context of Journeys project, children ideate, children develop and implement awareness raising and advocacy activities in order to raise awareness of children and adults on the concept of Barnahus, on the rights of children victims and witnesses of crime, and also to advocate for children's rights with the relevant duty bearers at local level, at the national level, international level. We will also unpack the activities of Avenue 1 and Avenue 2 in the next slides. The way we suggest to structure meetings with child advisors will largely be influenced by the avenue of their engagement. What is important to emphasize here is that both Avenue 1 and Avenue 2 can be pursued in parallel or one after another. As such, there is no need to choose only one of them. While each avenue offers a different set of activities, they can easily and creatively be combined. At the same time, it's recommended for the structure and for the content of the meeting to follow a certain structure. And we will see this structure on the next slide. We can move to the next slide. Thank you. All right. The suggested structure of the meeting with the child advisors is depicted through an intensity curve that you can see on the slide. It's suggested that this intensity curve will support your reflection along the different phases of the meeting. For instance, to support our thinking about how we are going to start the meeting, how we are going to accompany child advisors in participatory decision-making processes, and how we are going to end the session and end it in such a way that children want to come back and to continue together. So moving from the left to right, we suggest three phases of the meeting. First, there is a warm-up, introduction, getting started. This is where the meeting begins. So children oftentimes are excited when they arrive to the meeting. Getting started helps to focus the group and prepare their minds for the activity. Here we introduce children to the main objective of the meeting, so they know what what to expect from it. If we want children to participate, we think that it's important to set the tone of this meeting in the first 5-10 minutes of the meeting to get them excited and involved right from the beginning. And for that, within the toolbox, we included two energizer toolboxes. One is for in-person modality, and another one is for online modality, depending on the modality of CAB meetings. And from this toolbox, different ideas can be drawn from. Then there is the main part. And it's made of the activities from Avenue 1. So when we facilitate children's voices around certain tools or services, or Avenue 2, when we engage children in participatory action research. What's important is that depending on the context, depending on the children's needs and wishes and particular task that they are willing to engage in, we can consider a range of activities to strengthen their life skills. For instance, it can be collaboration, trust building, communication, self-awareness, management of emotions, problem solving, creative thinking, responsibility. And having those life skills strengthened will support children's full and meaningful participation and their leadership throughout the process. Moreover, it's highly beneficial to enrich this main part with the provision of trainings or workshops to strengthen the knowledge and skills of children on certain topics. For instance, it can range from legal literacy to IT skills, from drafting their CV to directing short movies. It can be storytelling, simple budgeting, public speaking, advocacy, and so on and so forth. And then we have the wrap-up and next steps. So at the end of the session, when we want children to consolidate what they have learned, what they have experienced throughout the session. It's also the place to get their feedback on the structure and on the content of the session overall, what they liked, what they disliked, certain suggestions for improvements, and the way forward, the way they want to see it. Some of the ideas could also be extracted from the wrap-up toolbox that we also incorporated in the toolbox. Also can be used for getting different ideas for this part of the meeting. At the end of the session, we also want to inform children of the next steps of the CAB, and if they have interest, to signpost them to different resources that they are interested in. And of course, the importance of expressing our appreciation for their participation and for their contributions throughout the meeting. We can move next. Thank you. When accompanying children in walking the Avenue 1, where they provided their feedback and suggestions to the project partners on a development of certain project deliverables right from the beginning. For instance, certain recommendations that they would like to see for the services to be more child-friendly. As you can see on the slide, the process of consulting children and of involving them in decision-making processes follows a certain sequence. So firstly, we suggest to present an initial concept of the tool or the service to child advisors, to also provide child-friendly information as to the rationale behind its development and any other information they may need. And of course, to address any questions with regards to the concept of the tool or the service that they might have. Then we recommend to provide children with the opportunity to practice, to really experience the tool and experiment with its different features. From there, we want to provide them with opportunities and a range of child-friendly modalities to provide their advice and expertise on the tool and suggestions for how it can be improved. And finally, we return to child advisors with the feedback on how their advices were taken into considerations when producing the final version of a tool. In certain cases, there will be situations when it would not be possible to fully integrate their inputs. Nevertheless, what is important is to come back to them with the feedback to explain the reasons behind why certain feedback was incorporated, why not, and to discuss it with them to avoid them feeling frustrated. In order to facilitate this process, several quite well-known and easy-to-use techniques were incorporated in the toolbox that can support facilitation of children's voices. So, for instance, here we have the 6 thinking heads technique, carousel technique, technique to define areas for improvement, and the list of questions to facilitate children's feedback. And with the Avenue 1 presented, we can move to the Avenue 2. Thank you. Yes, so the Avenue 2 is a participatory action research, which is a process where the researchers, so our child advisors, work together to understand, to analyze the strengths and the challenges in children's daily lives. And then jointly they plan and implement projects, collective actions that promote certain positive social changes. And in this process, they are supported by CAP facilitators. In participatory action research, there are 5 consecutive phases that you can see them depicted on the diagram. So the phase of mapping, exploring, planning, implementing collective action, and reflecting and sharing. Each phase includes a range of participatory activities, and in each activity, we included the description of its purpose, of the materials needed, timing needed, and the instructions to follow. The first part, the mapping phase, is where children's journey begins. The journey, let's say, requires a map that shows their starting point, their end point, and how children would like to get there. The activities suggested in this phase aim to build their safety within the group and to establish a group respect agreement. In this phase, we also suggest for children to learn fundamentals about their rights. Here they also map out people and groups of people who, in their opinion, have an impact on upholding their rights, be it in Barnahus or in the wider community. And perhaps already at that point, which roles those people and groups of people can play in children's projects, in their collective actions. Next comes the exploring phase, and here children jointly explore their daily lives or the lives of their peers. The focus here is on places and on people that support them feeling safe and feeling connected. Here we also begin to look into some of the challenges they want to overcome in their community, or certain improvements they would like to suggest to Barnahus and its services. From there, we move to the planning phase, where children prioritize the key challenges that they would like to focus on. And for the key challenges that they identified to work on, they analyze their root causes and look more deeply at the strengths and resources they have available, and begin to explore concrete ideas to address those challenges. For instance, they explore the questions about some of the resources they will need, the resources that are already at their disposal, who will need to work with them, whose support they might need, who will join them in their collective action, what type of perhaps creative activities they can use, what the timeline will be, if there is any budget available to support implementation of collective actions. And with this done, they embark on the collective action, and they present the concept of their project either to Barnahus governance or the wider community, encouraging them to get involved and to support in preparing and implementing collective actions. And as the very title of this phase suggests, here the child advisors actually implement their collective action, and they monitor which changes were brought about as a result of this collective action. And there is the final reflect and share phase once collective action is completed. Here, children reflect on their experiences when implementing, when monitoring collective action. And what's also important for this phase is that they share the results of their work with their community and celebrate their success together. What is also important to mention here is that throughout the cycle, throughout this diagram, let's say, children are encouraged and supported to explore and to tap into the strengths of their environment and engage them in collective actions. So they can be their peers, support the family member, their community, and different actors at perhaps national, international level, and the actors they can connect with online. And we can go next. And finally, the attention of the toolbox turns to how we can keep the journey on. So when children have implemented their collective action, and as they move closer to achieving their goals, their journey does not finish, and it's up to children to decide walking this journey as many times as they wish. For instance, during the mapping and exploring phase, they discovered a great variety of aspects that they consider important addressing. And also they presented different ideas of how some of such aspects might be addressed either by them directly or with their active contribution. Through the implementation of the action plan, children have addressed only some of such challenges. At the same time, throughout their CAB membership, they have already their knowledge, their skills, their ideas, their sense of confidence have evolved. And for that, child advisors should be encouraged to embark on addressing new challenges that they considered important to them and to their peers by designing and implementing other collective actions. What is important to remember is that ultimately it's the responsibility of adults to create for children, for child advisors, this supportive space that would enable them to continue this journey. And of course, to keep this journey interesting and joyful. And for that, they might be supported to use a great variety of creative modalities to express themselves. It can be visual arts, performing arts, crafts, dance, film, music, digital media, traditional arts, graffiti, and so on and so forth. And a variety of creative modalities will support sustaining children's levels of interest and motivation over a period of time. That's important because it should not be taken for granted that all children will stay interested in being child advisors throughout the project lifetime, because they have a lot of other engagements and commitments that require attention. And for that, the toolbox also includes suggestions for CAP facilitators when they observe that some children start having lower levels of interest and motivation. Nevertheless, there might be cases when children are unable to continue their participation for various reasons. For instance, when they change their place of residence, or if they are unable to continue their membership due to other conflicting priorities. Here also the toolbox lists some of the tips of how to manage children's exit from the CAP in a supportive manner. And linked with it, there can be situations when indeed re-advertising CAP membership will be needed. Here, care must be taken for it not to become a disappointing and frustrating experience for children, because there might only be a handful of opportunities for joining available, perhaps just one place, while potentially large numbers of children would apply. And last but not least, children's meaningful participation should not be confined to project timelines. As children's participation is their right, it must go beyond the project, beyond the limits of the project, and extend into other spheres of their private lives, of their public lives. Therefore, it's our hope, it's the hope of this project that the positive changes created for children's participation within this project are increasingly, progressively mirrored by a community and society at large. And for that, certain recommendations of how to make children's participation more sustainable are also captured in here. All right, that was a very brief overview of the toolbox, and you are very much invited to explore it in more detail, so we can work together to let children's voices to lead children's journeys. And I would like to finish this presentation with the words expressed by Sophia that I found really important when she mentioned that if we are together, we can do more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anastasia, for the comprehensive presentation. And again, we invite you to input your questions for the toolbox or for Anastasia in the Q&A feature. Just maybe to add that the toolbox, it will be available for you after that we finish the webinar, so you can download it from Child Hub page. And a very special thank you to our colleagues from Tuzla and Save the Children, actually, who have been inputting on this development process, but as well who will be implementing within the framework of the Journeys project. So through this webinar, we really wanted to give to you, to the audience, a comprehensive overview of child participation, more about collective participation through hearing the voices of one child advisory such as Sophia, sharing the toolbox, hopeful that will be used by you in the context of Barnahus or out of the context of Barnahus, but that with you work with children. And now I would like to invite our last speaker, Heseva. Heseva is working as a child assistant within the One Stop Center in Albania. She is a psychologist by background and has been working and trained on forensic interviewing as well. And with Heseva, we'll be speaking about the importance of child participation within the one-stop centers and some other questions. We'll not have a presentation for you. It will be really a conversation, like more of an open dialogue together. And I would like to first ask to Heseva to make a short introduction of the one-stop center in Albania, but as well, if you want to add more about yourself. Please, Heseva.
Well, hello. It's a very big honor for me to be here and represent all 2 centers in Albania, one-stop centers in Albania, for me and my colleague as well. Yes, one-stop centers are based on the Barnahus standards, and Anastasia did mention a bit. It's a service who provided target children who are abuse, and particularly sexual abuse, for very severe violence of abuse. Within the centers are located near the hospitals, respectively to Fier and Shkodër. And they're provided with crisis intervention and emotional support, food and temporary shelter. Then we have medical examinations, and of course, we also do the assisting for preparation to go for the children to go to the police station when they need to be interviewed, either if they're victims or witnesses to severe crimes. We are fairly new, so we only have 1 year and a bit, but I feel like we have made quite a progress as a new service within the child protection system and unit, because maybe people do not know, but in Albania, child protection system is, I think, even a bit more than a decade that is developed quite better than it was for children protection. And I think this is a big step for a child protection unit in Albania to actually make children heard and their needs met as in a dignified manner.
Thank you, Eseva. And can you elaborate a bit more about your role within the One Stop Center?
Certainly. So I'm a child assistant, and the center actually had a coordinator and a child assistant as we speak now. My role as a child assistant is supporting, giving the emotional support that the child, primarily giving emotional support the child needs, but also do help the child protection officer or worker within other needs that the child may have. Within the center, actually, depending on the need that the child have, and they are within, depending on the child age, depending on the child needs and the time that they come to the center, because it's 24/7 emergency center. So depending on when the child comes. Normally, we do an introduction of who we are within the center. Then we, in a way, evaluate what the child needs at the moment. For instance, maybe the child needs food. We do provide food. Maybe the child needs to rest or needs sleep. We do have, of course, a bed and the child can rest. Or maybe the child needs some support, and maybe the child has a parent, which we also do provide service for the non-abusive parents, so they can have a better emotional support for the children further on. So it depends on when the child comes in the center, that what we can provide and what I or my colleagues provide at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Maybe I would just like to elaborate a bit more on the fact that this is a fairly new center with the vision to be transformed in a full Barnahus. So for the moment, this is the situation. So it's really new, but however, we thought that was important to, even with such kind of centers that are new, to have participation as one of the Barnahus standards, but as well as one of the practices to be further strengthened. So, and that's why we invited Eseva to share and to be with us today. So when we speak about child participation, we have the example of collective participation, that as a mechanism are child advisory boards. But for you, you have been mostly working on the individual level of child participation, how we say. Can you share some of the concrete examples from your daily work, how you make sure that you practice child participation and individual participation is put into practice?
Well, as I said before, it depends on the child needs. So we have had cases when the child needed emotional and psychological support referred by their own parents. But when we ask the child, Do you want to be part of the psychological support that you provide? Would you like to talk to the psychologist about your issues? And the child respectfully rejected the need for to be part of in the sessions with the psychologist. And I think this is part of one of the examples of the child can say yes, but the child can say no. Others, then we actually go in the when the child comes within the center, we do give the options. We are fairly limited because it's only 24 hours, so it's very short period of time. So the child, we give the child choices and options on what they can choose for the moment. For instance, one of the cases that we had, the child had the opportunity either to go home or stay at the center for the night. The child did pick the option, I would like to stay at the center because I would feel more calm. And this actually helped the child and the parents, but also us as a professional, so to know what to do next for the next step for the child well-being, because it does give us times, both the parties, but also us as the professionals. Another example that I can give is step by step, in a sense of the child, when the child comes to the center, would you like to go to bed? Or would you like to stay a bit more? Would you like emotional support, or would you like something else? So it comes step by step. Then we come to the choice of accommodation, which is one of our biggest challenges actually at the center, because we cannot accommodate for a long period of time, particularly if it's the case of the parent is the abuse. The child is abused by their own parents. One of the cases that we had was a big discussion where the child would go because they cannot go in their house, in their home. And this accommodation does become challenging. Another part that we get the information from child protecting worker, because they are the main manager of the cases, not us. We are there to support them. And providing information to children when they are not certain yet is another challenge, but you have to give the child the options and what they can do or cannot do for the next steps. And I think this does, it's very pleasant to see the child to pick, to choose, because I'm powerful. It gives them the sense of I'm powerful. I can do things on my own, even though something bad happened to me. Look, I'm having the right to choose where I want to be, who I feel more comfortable with.
Thank you, Heseva. I guess for some of our colleagues that I can recognize from the participants in the webinar, your challenges are as well things that they can relate to. And it is good to speak about them and really to see that actually even with limited resources and opportunities, you really can implement child participation through the examples that Heseva shared. But now you are thinking to consider collective participation, Heseva, as well. So why you think that for the specific context that you have of your one-stop center, you want to go to collective participation? Why this could be important as an additional form of engaging with children?
Well, I did listen to Sophia, I did listen to Anastasia as well, and their description was very powerful, in my opinion. First of all, we have done activities in the center which involve, well, basically were advocacy and awareness activities for child, for instance, violence against children, corporal punishment, or other activities that we are currently doing at the center. And the feedback that we got from them and the ideas that we got from the children were pretty amazing. And actually, sometimes we as adults cannot think as the child thinks or what their needs. So, quote unquote, what is the trending for them, that how we can be closer to them. Giving the opportunity to children, not only to children who are at the Barnahus, basically to the center, we are part of the center, to give to express their own experiences and how we can improve and how we can help them build the capacities and build themselves, basically. It's very interesting to know, to have also other children to be part of the, first of all, to get to know the idea of one-stop centers, to be part of one-stop centers, and actually bring more information. We can exchange ideas. Children are very creative. Children are very knowledgeable, particularly when it comes to topic. And as much as we can do awareness and sessions when we talk about how important the voices to be heard, actually there are children who talk to one another, which facilitates the roles of actually getting the information. So that's why I think it's very important for us as centers to have the collective participation, because it's a snowball effect. The children will share this information and why it's important for them and how it fits their own needs as children.
Yes, definitely. And of course, as we all know, that prevention is a crucial part. So we speak about prevention and response, but when we speak about prevention, children themselves and young people can play a very important role when it comes to sharing information about the existence of such services, such as the one-stop centers or other services, that this really will be impacting the response and the services later on.
Absolutely.
So you shared a bit more why it will be helpful, but what are some of the challenges that you foresee in strengthening children's collective participation in the one-stop center in FEAR? Or maybe you can elaborate more as well about some social norms that might be related to the specific context of Albania when it comes to child participation that impact and might be as a blocking factor to make sure that we have child collective participation.
Actually, they can be challenged, of course, as we first-handed we know, because the new center does bring challenges. But first of all, integration within the system. It's not easy to integrate, to say that, this is a new concept, I want to bring it to the center, or I want to bring it to the child protection unit. So as a concept, for Albania, at least as a concept, it can be difficult to grasp, and it can be difficult to actually to convince why this is important, or why this is so important, because we are used to the professional knows. The profession is the one that knows best, but actually it's vice versa. It's the children who know best for themselves, and then the profession just supports the idea or not. So integrating within the system can be challenging. Of course, there are resources and time, and which are very particularly challenging for Albania as well. Another thing that I would like to have a note, it's parents, because in short term parents can be very supportive, but in long terms it can be parents can be very skeptical about the children participation. So okay, I understand, but what's the benefit for my child? Like, they need proofs. It's like these are very skeptical. So I think this is the basic challenges that I see that we may face in the future, even though they can be down the road, because we have discovered that down the road come new challenges, but this is the challenge that I think will be more difficult for us.
Thank you, Eseva. Actually, when you were speaking, you just reminded me about one of the webinars that we did with in the framework of Promise Project, Promise 3, with Kim from Denmark. Actually, he's running the Barnahus there. And he was sharing that one of the main challenges that they are facing actually in Denmark is the participation of parents, especially, and working with parents, that sometimes not only with offending parents, but as well with others. So it is quite challenging, but it requires a lot of energy, but is good as a first start, let's say, to be really aware that those might be some of the challenges that should be mitigated later on. So being mindful of the time, I would like to ask you who practically we shared today. Anastasia presented Toolbox for how to put collective participation into practice. And I'm curious to know your opinion as a practitioner, as someone that is working within this context, why this Toolbox might be useful for you. That I know that you already went through it and you have been reading it. If you can just share from your perspective, and maybe the audience, the colleagues that we have as in the audience might be related to your thoughts as well.
Yes, it was a very interesting read, and tools were very practical, which I was actually amazed and grateful. I can say grateful because working in an emergency settings does require structured interventions. So the fact that there are structured interventions and they are focused not only on how to get the idea, but also how to help children help us. So the capacity building that Anastasia does mentioned, the information and having activities and guidelines on how the practitioner can go step by step by actually encouraging the child, encouraging them to be themselves, to bring up topics, to be part of something bigger. So I think because having something very practical, very tangible would be very beneficial for us as a practitioner, but also as other parents and schools and other can be used effectively in other settings as well. What was interesting to me is to separate into the categories between the Avenue 1 and Avenue 2. I found it very interesting how the second one involved research, how a topic can be researched for younger generation and younger people, and how they can bring their own actuality of the problem, because to be fair, problems do come from their own understanding of their own world, and bringing that to us makes us think, oh great, now we need to do another thing. That's wonderful, we have to do another thing so we can involve them even better and we can solve, they come to their needs. So I think it's very the fact that it's are, just to conclude, the fact that they're very practical, tangible, structured, for at least for me as a practitioner, it's a gift. That's why I'm grateful, because it's a gift.
Thanks. Iseva, so the one-stop centers in Albania, they are already regulated by law through an administrative instruction of the minister, and is the model, it is based on the Barnahus quality standards. Top experts from Barnahus have been engaged in terms of designing the model, and Olivia, I saw that she was in the audience, has been, and Shona, two of the authors that worked on it. But so you have the Barnahus quality standards, you have the specific social services standards in Albania. But why do you think that having a child advisory board will improve or influence, or not improve, I don't know, impact, how this will impact as a mechanism, the quality of services and the provision of those services within the one-stop centers?
So since the day one, we have talked about how important everything is and having the child in the center. And this is not better way to express that idea than having basically the board of children. Well, that's why it is, and actually it was very right to say it will improve our services because it's for the children. So having such board within it gives the opportunity to the children to be creative, to express themselves, to be included, because many services, at least in here, we don't have as much services as so we including children to be first-handed there, to be the organizer, to be in the role of quote-unquote practitioner. So I think it will improve greatly not only the vision of one-stop center, but also the mindset of the people around them, parents and practitioners as well. So I think, yeah, it will improve the one-stop center, and this is how we'll.
Thank you so much, Iseva. This was my last question from my side, and for all your insights, really appreciate it. And I am amazed to see actually how, like considering the journeys of the one-stop center in Albania, we have such insights, and really to see the importance that is given to child participation there. So now I would like to thank you again, and
thank you so much
for as to the participants to input questions in the Q&A feature that I saw in the chat. In the meanwhile, that you have already put some of the questions there in the chat. So if you can now input on the Q&A if you have additional, because this is a moment, that official moment where we open, when we open the Q&A. And I will invite Sophia first and Anastasia as well to turn on your camera. Sophia, thanks a lot for your patience and staying with us. It's really appreciated. In the meanwhile, till I wait to have Q&A questions in the Q&A feature, I see that we have, I ask the support of the colleagues just to, for a matter of time management, to pick up some of the questions from the chat. I already saw some, so I can straight away start. Any question first for Sophia? I see that it's already a Q&A. First, so any question for Sophia? Not yet. So Sophia, if you want to ask her about the experience and like any other things, you are free to do so. So I see on the chat, I'm picking up the first question. I think this is the first, but the colleagues let me know. So we have a question that how we can ensure that the participation approach in place effectively facilitates meaningful involvement of young people from disadvantaged or marginalized groups who face language and cultural barriers, as well as those with disabilities. Anastasia, I guess you can take on this. Yes. Can you read? Yeah.
Yes,
can you read
thank
it?
you
Yes.
very much for the question. I will try to answer by connecting different elements that I would like to bring to the answer. I would say that in the beginning, it's good to identify what the most vulnerable and marginalized group are. So we know communities and individuals that we would like to reach out to. With that, we need to be mindful about where the information about this opportunity is, where this opportunity is disseminated and how it's disseminated. So to begin with, that they know that this opportunity to join CAP exists. From there, as we say that children's participation is inclusive, it's inclusive for all children because we are guided by the principle of non-discrimination. With that, we understand that when we talk about exclusion based on disability or other factors, this disability results from the barriers within society to their inclusion. And it's important to understand those barriers on an individual basis. And the best way to know what are some of the barriers that young people might be facing to join CAP and to continue with CAP is to actually ask them, what are some of the barriers that might prevent you from joining, that prevent you from participating? And ask them what can be done by us to support overcoming such barriers. And in fact, when I was, during my presentation, I was mentioning friendly discussions that we do with children after they submit their nomination forms. Indeed, one of the questions in that friendly discussions is about barriers, to learn directly from the child what we can do to overcome the barriers. Perhaps it's also useful to think about such barriers through the Landy model. So if we take space, what can be some barriers within the physical space? Perhaps barriers to access the building, or barriers to from the place when individual resides to the building, or some barriers actually within the space, so within the physical space. But it's also good to look at some of the barriers through the perspective of emotional space. Do those children or young people feel safe and comfortable to engage? Again, a good place to start is to create this sense of safety within the group at the very beginning, and to establish a group respect agreement about listening to voices of each other, respecting voices of each other, and be respectful of different paces that we are engaging in the activities. Then let's take, for instance, the voice element that clearly says that the voices of children needs to be facilitated. So again, the responsibility lies with adults to facilitate those voices through modalities that children feel the most comfortable expressing themselves. Some feel more comfortable doing that verbally, some through creative activities or through drawing. Again, a good place to start is to ask, what is your preferred way to express your voice? And talking about the audience, oftentimes the barrier lies there with the preconceived notions and attitudes on behalf of CAP facilitators or adults who are working with children, when they have assumptions about children's capacities, what they are capable of or not capable of, what they are able to do or unable to do. So I think when we talk about the importance of capacity strengthening of CAP facilitators as an ongoing process, it's important to see that not only from perspective of the knowledge and their skills to be able to engage with children, but also their attitudes, their non-discriminatory and open attitudes towards children who are not a homogeneous group. And
thank you, Anastasia. I'm sorry, just didn't want to interrupt you, but as we have other questions and I would like just to give the floor to the others, but maybe if you have additional things to add, you can add it directly in the answers in the screen. And the question for Sophia now. Sophia, we have a question for you. From Miklovana, saying that how was your experience in the first meeting that you attended the CAPS? Did you feel part of the group since the beginning, or it took some time until you felt socialized, get used to the group? So if you can share on that.
Yeah, of course. That was so interesting experience because before CAP, I wasn't really communicative person. As all of the teenagers, we're so close, and it's so hard for us to get used to new people, to big, communities. And for me, it was a little bit hard, but in a time, in maybe months, of course, I used to it, and now I feel really comfortable in this community because we became friends, we became partners. Yeah, we can discuss about different things, and of course, that's that comes in time. For in the first meeting, it's so hard to get used to it because you don't know people, and it's not that easy. But in a time, of course, it's possible to get used to it. Yeah.
But maybe if I can just add, what is important that you said that it was difficult at the beginning, but you didn't give up. So you still continue to go and you overcome that challenge. So now you feel much more good. So that's, I guess, another important element, to not give up at the beginning, because usually the beginning it's a bit hard as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's
so you are the best example of that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Sophia. So other questions. We have a question: who facilitates the CAPS meeting? Anastasia, you want to answer to this very, very shortly, and after I'll go to Heseva with another question. Yeah.
I will try to do it shortly. Yes, we say that CAP facilitators facilitate the meetings. Those are adults who are trained to meaningfully and ethically to engage children, if I can put it this way.
Thank you. Raluca is asking, how do you ensure that children can participate in decisions later on in the intervention to support them overcome the situation of abuse? I don't know now who wants to speak, Heseva or Anastasia. I don't know, one of you who wants to take this on.
I mean, if you can formulate it once again, the question, because I don't think.
So how you make sure that the question is that children can participate in decisions later on to support interventions that help them to overcome the situation of abuse. So I guess it's more at the more policy level. My assumption is that not only at the individual level, but so at other levels to make sure that their voices are heard. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking at the individual level, at least what I can I share what we do at the center?
Yes. Yeah.
We do offer therapeutic services which help the child overcome the aftermath of the abuse, not only them, but for the parents as well. So non-abusive parents participates in counseling as well as children, so they can encourage them to be part of the school and society, because they can be stigmatized as well. So we do connect with schools, we do connect with the psychologists at school and other activities that the child can be part of. So we can say that, you know what, we need to integrate, the child needs to be integrated as well and be respected with dignity. We do ensure that dignity does follow up after the child has received treatment within the center, but long-term integrity and respect and the dignity that they actually deserve and should have.
Yeah, thanks. And in addition to that, I just wanted to add that there is a publication on the Promise website, EU Barnahus, that is specifically on Laura Lundy model. Anastasia made reference to it during her presentation, how this can be adapted within the context of Barnahus, and it is elaborating more at the element of influence and how the children's voice can be specific, like really put it into practice. Okay, so other question we have, I'm following in the same time the chat and the Q&A, so to see if I don't miss any question. Is there any online space where we can see what different project CAPs around Europe have done? Online space, as far as I'm aware, at least for Terre des Hommes, we have Child Hub, that is the main learning platform that has different resources, but not specifically to child participation. And in the same time, it is the EU EC child participation platform that it was recently established, that there are some resources there as well. I don't know if you want to add anything else, Anastasia, on that. And other resources are on the website of barnahus.eu. Okay, so I don't know if I don't see any other question in the Q&A and in the chat. So if there are no more questions, I would really like to thank you all for the questions that you have been like directing to our speakers, for finding the time to be with us today. A special thank you to Sophia for your valuable experience and really amazing inspiration for adults as well, for us. Thank you. It was really great to have you here. To Heseva and to Anastasia for all your presentations and inputs and experiences. We really hope that this was answering to your needs, and a special thanks to my colleagues from behind the scenes that they have helped with the text. And now the last thing, we'll launch another poll. Heidi, please, you can launch the end poll, and you have some questions that for us is very important to receive your feedback in terms of the webinars that we are providing to you. And you can as well download the CAP Toolbox on the Child Hub website. Will be available by tomorrow. So thanks again, and wishing you all a good afternoon. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.